Attraction 1. Atlantis Expedition. A retheming of the submarine voyage in Tomorrowland at Disneyland, in which guests would have been able to use a mechanical arm that extended out into the water from the submarine window to grab at gold coins and gems lining the sea floor. The box office failure of the 2001 animated film Atlantis: The Lost Empire caused this planned revamp to be scrapped. Attraction 2. This next attraction is the second one that made me want to do this series. Rock Candy Mountain. In addition to the Casey Jr. train ride in Fantasyland, it was supposed to be a mountain that looked like it was made out of rock candy and other various types of candy, such as licorice, lollipops, and candy canes, with a glossy, translucent appearance. The planned Rainbow Road to Oz attraction was supposed to go underneath the mountain and the ride would be inside it. It was cancelled due to Walt Disney being concerned about how they would be able to maintain and clean the mountain because of all the smog that came from around Anaheim. One rumor states that Imagineers and Birds actually picked the model to pieces, and another states Walt axed it because of its sickly appearance. A rock candy mountain model very similar to the original concept can be found in the window of Trolley Treats at Disney California Adventure. Attraction 3. Geyser Mountain. A Twilight Zone Tower of Terror style ride to be built in Frontierland. Guests riding in a huge drilling machine will be caught in a massive geyser and thrown into the air. Attraction 4. Herbie the Love Bug Ride, an attraction conceived in 1976 to be placed in Fantasyland. It would take guests through scenes from the first two Herbie the Love Bug movies, The Love Bug and Herbie Rides Again, in many Herbies, such as Herbie driving up the Golden Gate Bridge, or the famous scene where Herbie skips across water. At the end of the ride, the mini Herbie ride vehicle was split in half, like in the movie. It was cancelled for unknown reasons. Okay, so for the next one, I couldn't find concept art for the ride. I only found pictures of a restaurant named the same thing. So anyway, Attraction 5, Fireworks Factory, an interactive shooter ride designed for Discovery Bay, housed inside a fireworks factory where guests would shoot at skyrockets, pinwheels, and other fireworks. A much smaller version was placed in Mickey's Toontown, though this version is merely an interactive gag in the land and not a ride. Attraction 6. This next attraction is the third attraction that made me want to do this series. The Enchanted Snow Palace was an unbuilt attraction planned for Fantasyland at Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom in the late 1970s, inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. It was primarily the brainchild of Imagineer Mark Davis and conceived as a musical adventure set to the Nutcracker Suite, journeying through the icy kingdom of the Snow Queen, featuring frolicking penguins and polar bears, walruses, snowball men, and other creatures, before arriving in the Snow Queen's court. The concept was shelved sometime after 1977 as Disney's priorities became focused on developing thrill attractions like Space Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain to compete with Magic Mountain in nearby Valencia, as well as constructing Epcot Center. The unveiled attraction will be briefly profiled in the defrosted Disney's Journey from Hans Christian Andersen to Frozen bonus feature on the Frozen Blu-ray release, which notes a striking resemblance between Mark Davis's Snow Queen and Elsa. A slideshow presentation of Mark Davis's artwork with music was also presented at the 2014 Destination D event for D23 members. Attraction 7, Lightkeepers, a nighttime pageant that was planned for Tomorrowland 2055. The show would have been about an entire race of godlike alien creatures that created light. They were alleged to come from a far-off mythical galaxy where light was the source of everything, created as a possible Main Street electrical parade replacement. The idea eventually inspired the short-lived and infamous light magic nighttime parade. Attraction 8, Duck Bumps, a bumper boat ride planned for Fantasyland to be built against Air National Street alongside the lagoon. Attraction 9, The Museum of the Weird, was an unveiled walk-through attraction chiefly designed by Imagineer Wally Crump for Disneyland's New Orleans Square as a companion piece to the Haunted Mansion. Attraction 10, Haunted House, a walk-through haunted house featuring famous movie monsters, a murderous sea captain, dazzling special effects, a lonesome ghost, and a wedding that was torn to pieces, ultimately became the Haunted Mansion. Because I can't find pictures of it, this section will have, the old mill. If I can't find pictures for the old mill, then you'll be watching the footage of the other old mill. Anyway, Attraction 11, The Old Mill, Disneyland, California. A Ferris wheel ride next to Duck Bumps, which would take guests trolling around on a windmill. The concept might have been based on the 1937 Silly Symphonies cartoon, The Old Mill. A similar version of this attraction was later built at Disneyland Paris. Attraction 12, Circus Hot Air Balloon, an attraction that would have furthered Discovery Bay and Dumbo Circus Land. Also known as the Western Balloon Ascent, it would have been similar to the Skyway. Attraction 13, Mickey's Madhouse, a funhouse adventure featuring Mickey Mouse and their friends in a bunch of wacky antics while ragtime music plays in the background. Okay, so for this one, I don't know what it's talking about. So anyway, Attraction 14, Unnamed Pinocchio Attraction, a predecessor to Pinocchio's daring journey that would have included Stromboli's theater. I had a hard time saying that word. in the queue where guests could watch puppet performances while waiting to board. Attraction 15, Circus Disney, a new dark ride that would have featured multiple animatronic Disney characters performing different circus acts. I can't find pictures of this one, so yeah. Attraction 16, Dick Tracy's Crime Stoppers, was an attraction based on Warren Beatty's 1990 film Dick Tracy that was proposed for the Sunset Boulevard section of Disney's Hollywood Studios. Attraction 17, Baby Herman's Runaway Baby Buggy, a dog ride based on the Roger Rabbit short Tummy Trouble, planned to be placed in Hollywoodland. Attraction 18, The Great Movie Ride. A clone of this attraction was planned for Hollywoodland, although it would have featured alternate show scenes. Attraction 19, Rainbow Road to Oz, a ride based on the classic Oz books for Fantasyland. Attraction 20, Space Voyage. Because of the success of the Matterhorn bobsleds, Walt Disney wanted to make another roller coaster with 4 separate tracks, but due to space limitations, the idea was scrapped, though the original concept appeared on several park maps in the late 1960s as a coming soon attraction. The concept eventually evolved into Space Mountain. Attraction 21, Unnamed E-Ticket Attraction, an attraction planned for Big Town, USA, where guests would go into an old subway station that would be a time machine that would take them through different periods of history. Attraction 22, The Hall of the Declaration of Independence, an attraction that would have been held in an auditorium holding 5,000 seats and featured 3 scenes inspired by iconic paintings from the time of the Revolutionary War, which would have been brought to life using visual and audio effects, as well as figures moving, planned for Liberty Street. Attraction 23, Peter Pan Crocodile Aquarium, a whimsical aquarium that predated both Epcot Sounds, The Living Seas, and Shark Reef at Typhoon Lagoon, where guests would have entered the exhibit by walking through the jaws of the reptile that terrorized Captain Hook. Attraction 24, Harnessing the Lightning, a show consisting of 4 acts showing the history of electric homes in America. It became the basis for the Carousel of Progress.